Last looks, kids. Powder your face, powder your nose.
I don't know if that'll help, but thanks.
Got your little compact that you can check.
I keep it in my bag that says dealer.
Well, that's smart.
Dealing in
your Hermes bag.
Yes, my Hermes bag.
There's no Ben tonight, so I don't know who's the chat's on their own. So y'all better behave. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. We don't have to use our big words tonight, boys and girls. We can speak like thugs and gangsters if we like.
Exactly. Go crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Can you give it to me? Baby, step to the beat. I'm down on my knees. Madonna is unstoppable.
You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. This is Liberty.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And hey, everybody, it's Stefan. Welcome to another episode of MLVC. It's Friday. It's the last February and day, the last day in February.
The 358th day of February.
Yeah, seriously.
So
we've made it. Welcome back to one of MLVC's resident hairstylist extraordinaires, Jason Lee. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
We're back.
He brought his mustache, his perm, and his biceps, apparently.
Oh, and
Is that vintage or is that parking lot?
it is definitely eBay parking lot, and it's the borderline cover.
Love
And
it.
looks like it's a child's small.
Yes, that's the size that I like to wear.
Yeah, well, you know, you gotta. How are the shreds going? Jason's on a mission to be super fit and fashion model, supermodel ready by summertime, right?
Yeah, I got to be ready for whenever this album drops. It's tough. The winter. I'm up in Toronto. It sucks. It's like it's cold and it's gray, so you don't really want to shred. But anyways, summer's on its way, so I better get ready.
That's right.
I should be shredding, but I've got brownies in the kitchen waiting for me after we're done. So I don't know if the 6-pack's going to happen yet again this summer, but
Yeah, well,
can all.
I won't be shredding unless I get my hands on some Ozempic. You know what I'm saying? I've given up on the old eating well. I'm a teacher. Like, I don't have time to eat well. I get like a cookie between the hours of.
Don't your students bring you apples? I mean,
No, they ask me for candy. That's how this is going.
I don't think they mean like
well.
Twizzlers though, Liberty. I think candy's code for like.
No, it's actual candy because I give it as prizes. But since they know it's there, they
Shame
like
on you.
fiddle around and try to get
bribing students to get their work done.
Well, I asked them like, hey, can you fix my grade? And I'm like, $20, please.
Yeah. Oh, well, exactly. Yeah.
And
They
they're
should
like,
be
"No."
bribing. They should be bribing you, not the other way around.
I know. It's not fair.
All right. Well, so tonight on this last day of February, we are discussing the latest artistic endeavor from Lady Madonna, a photo editorial and short film titled Funeral Rites, which is dubbed a Steven Klein romance written by Madonna and presented by Carine Roitfeld and CRFashionBook. So, I wanted to comment on the fact that the editorial just goes to show how long things take to put out. So she had teased the behind the scenes of these photos back in October. If you remember, she had posted photos of her eating soup naked. And that was where she had that big extravagant necklace. And we were all like, what is she doing? She looks like she's all made up. And we commented about it on the podcast. And lo and behold, we finally get those photos. So it's been about 4 months. So it's 4 months from when they took those photos to when we got to see those photos. So
Minimum. I mean, I feel like they probably even started way earlier with the conceptualizing and everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, and I should say to everybody wondering, Tony and Ben both were too busy with work, so they were unable to join us tonight, but they send their love. So love to the boys. So that's why we got old Biceps Lee joining us today.
Yeah.
Well, so let's. Oh, and I wanted to talk about. We're not this weeking in Chicone. Is that? Can I even say that? This weeking in Chicone.
It's not.
I'm
We're
making
not
that a verb.
Chiconiing around here.
But she did wipe her Instagram clear right around the time that she was premiering the photos for CRFashionBook. Of course, that's leading people to speculate.
Oh, yeah. It sets the world on fire. I mean, honestly, it was so hard to work this week with with that happening, because you're just constantly wanting to be like, is there anything new? Has anything changed? Is there anything going on that I'm missing right now? So you constantly you just kind of, for a little break, I'm going to open Instagram just to check and make sure I'm not missing anything.
It's dangerous to do it, though, because then you get sucked in.
What do you think is happening? Do you think it's the beginning of the album coming, or what do you think?
Jason, you're our guest tonight. So what do you think is happening? You go first.
I'd be shocked. I mean, I think it's cool that she does. I also wiped out my Instagram.
Ooh,
Did you?
You little copycat, you.
Yeah,
Oh, well, thank God I screen grabbed all those thirst traps you posted.
I think it's very possible, right? Because weren't there rumors that she played the album at the Chris Rock party?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd be interested. I think it's got to be possible. I never get my hopes up for like a Beyonce drop. You know what I mean? Like surprise thing, because I feel as though I want that to happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But I guess it's all possible. I think it'd be cool to see if that did happen. But either way, I think it would have been cool if we had Instagram between the Virgin tour and Papa Don't or Live to Tell, because then she could have wiped out all of that, and then she could have come out with the blonde hair. So I mean, you have to assume. But I don't really feel as though I love this, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it. I love this, the photos and everything, but I don't think it's like a new version of her. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a new era. Because when you usually wipe out your Instagram, it usually is a statement. I don't know. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know there's new music coming, and there's other things in the works, I assume, like the Bedtime Stories anniversary and maybe a tour film, maybe a documentary. I mean, again, we theorize, we run in circles here because we keep theorizing. I mean, I'm ecstatic that we finally got pictures of something that we knew she was working on. We're like that's finally the payoff where I'm like, oh,
right.
Finally, after all this theorizing of what is she doing? She looks like she's working on something. And she was. So it's like, I mean, it took 4 months for us to finally have some validation, but I am validated, which again, the same thing when she was, when we were like, is she working on new music with Stuart Price? Dum, ba, ba. Yes, she is. And so that's like, there's validation in all of that. And it's excruciating to wait, to have to endure the waiting. I live a very mundane life, and it's like, come on, Madonna, just throw me a bone. I just want some music to have a little dance to. Like, I want to, did you all see the new Gap commercial with Parker Posey, who's current? Oh my God!
I think you shared something about.
I shared,
right?
yeah. So Parker Posey, who's having a renaissance because she's in the new season of White Lotus. Which, if you're not watching the new season of White Lotus, I highly recommend you start watching, because things are going to go batshit crazy on that show real soon. It's taking place in Thailand this season, and all I'm going to say is somebody's theorizing that the monkey's going to get a gun and start shooting everybody. That's all I'm saying. That's not a spoiler because nothing's happened yet, but just monkeys with guns, things aren't going to go good. But anyway, Parker Posey in the Gap commercial, this is what happens in my brain, by the way, people. If you don't know, this,
and
my
a lot
brain,
of time.
it just goes all over the place 50 times a minute. Parker Posey is in the new Gap commercial. And she's dancing. It's very reminiscent of her 90s film Party Girl, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. There's a scene where she's trying to be a librarian. She's dancing to this wonderful song. And it's so good. And that's sort of reminiscent of that. Why did I bring up Parker Posey other than the fact that I don't know.
That you're a fan? I can't remember. There was a whole connection, but I was so lost in your excitement about White Lotus that I've been thinking about that.
What?
You have to dance.
Exactly.
You want to dance. Yes.
I want to dance. And thank you, Jason.
I want to dance.
Thank you for bringing it back. Yeah. And so it's like, come on, Madonna, throw me a bone. Just give me a dance song so I can be like Parker Posey in the new Gap commercial.
Right.
That's where I was going with that. Okay. Anyway. People are like,
Yes.
Stefan, get it together.
Well, I wish this for you too. Yeah, I definitely, I hope this helps, and that you don't have to sit and just watch White Lotus all day. Because I've heard of the show, but I don't even know where one watches such a show. I don't know anything about
HBO
it.
Max.
I don't have that.
Get into it. I'll lend you a login. Don't worry. Okay, so let's. I mean, yeah. We'll closing the loop on her wiping their Instagram. Yeah, I assume that's her making a statement that something's coming.
Well,
What?
I'm not ready to close the loop because I actually have. I do that too with my brain, where you're going like, okay, this is this thing. I try to connect that string to this thing over here, and then this other thing over here, and then come back over here. I actually think, with the title of this being funeral rites, I have like an idea about what I think she's trying to tell us in this, because I know that you and I have talked about this. Well, I kind of want to wait with that theory, but I'm going to tie back in.
Okay.
I'm going to tie back in.
Okay.
Remind me because.
Okay. Stick a pin in that. Stick a pin in that. We'll come. Okay. All right. So, yeah, sure. We all theorize. Again, Jason, I agree. I would love a Beyonce style drop, but I don't know if she's going to do that because she has never done that. And I feel like, why start now? Basically, like the same thing, like her doing a Vegas residency, like just something that she's never done. It's like, why would she do it now? But
Right.
When's a song that's like a summer bop? When does that launch? Like, when does that come out? Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's like the song of the summer, when does an artist drop that? Like, is it March, April?
Feel like it depends, but March would be the thing that I would think would,
well,
March, April.
If you look at, I don't know if do we have Song of the Summers now?
I'm looking at like, okay, for example, last summer, even though Chappell Roan's album had been out, right? But I'm thinking about when she started like popping up on Jimmy Fallon. That is like early summer.
Right.
But
it depends on the song, how catchy it is. Like
Right.
Charlie XCX released Brat, and it was Brat Summer. Like that whole album was like, Vogue came out in April or March. It came out in March, and I listened to that all summer long the summer that it came out. So I think it just depends on when it gets discovered and like when it catches.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Somewhere like, and of course, I follow way too many Madonna fan accounts and Madonna accounts that pop out theories and pop out rumors, and sometimes I know people latch onto things like that the nun is Madonna's actual sister and all these other little things. Somewhere somebody had said the date 3/15, so March 15.
Right.
Now,
Right.
Did you see that too, Jason? Okay.
It's like on a cement block or something like that she's walking up. There's like 1-5.
Right. But I think I don't even know if that's a Friday. Is that a Friday?
Bit of a reach.
We need a Friday. Okay, hold on. Let me look at my calendar, guys. I might be busy that day.
It's a
Saturday.
No, it doesn't have to be a Friday anymore.
No?
Like, if she's just going to drop a song, like people
it could be any day.
People release songs any day of the week these days. It's somebody had messaged me saying, do we think she's going to drop music to challenge like Lady Gaga's album? And I'm like, I don't know if she would do that. Like, to me, it just seems like let Gaga have her moment so that way they're not overshadowing each other. Like, I think people just like to pit the two of them against each other for some reason. I'm like, I don't think Madonna's sitting there being like, I'm going to try and trump Lady Gaga.
I think she'll wait till Katy Perry is actually in space. That's what I think. We'll wait till Katy Perry's in space, because then we can Katy won't be around, and like Madonna can have, the moment, and maybe Katy's on this record, or I don't know.
Oh, God.
That was all that thing that was happening. So
Right.
I hope not.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that, but
I also feel like whatever is hapless, but there's always a bunch of different things that happen before the album. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always a bunch of songs that they work on and then they never come out.
Sure.
And I think there's just so much shit that's gone on over the last while for her to write about. And she's always so good at seeing things down, like way ahead of time.
So much. Yeah.
So I feel as though, I don't know, I guess it's possible that Katy Perry song could come to life, but
maybe on like the extended deluxe version,
Right.
Maybe it'll be like it'll just be her on the 10 to 12, 13 track original version, and then they'll do a re-release, and that will be where all of the like songs that were supposed to be out but didn't, like the graveyard of songs. So it'll be like the Sickic track and the Max
Oh my
Martin
gosh, I
track
forgot
and
about
the Katy
this.
Perry and the Arca collab and maybe the, whoever,
It's like a tie-in, a graveyard.
So let's talk a little bit about the fashion. I mean, the pictures themselves, that all of the looks that she's serving in these photographs. I mean, what are our feelings? What are our thoughts? What do we love? What do we want more of?
Well, what I love is a Madonna fashion moment. I feel like we're so lucky to still have that, right? Because listen, I'm not, everybody knows this, but like she was so good at it. And I think the big difference between like our generation that grew up with Madonna and what's happening now is that and Stefan, you can talk to this as a photographer, and I speak to this only as a hairstylist and as somebody who has studied fashion. Like that's my world outside of Madonna. The detail when it comes to photography doesn't exist anymore, right? Like I think maybe Linda Evangelista talked about it, where she would say like the model, there was no Photoshop, and so they had to like, I mean, because I know there's Photoshop in this, but it was really like presenting yourself as a model back in the day, and everybody was great. So you had the best makeup artist, you had the best of everything, fashion, and that's what I love about when she works with Steven Klein, is that they put in all of that effort, which, because there's no money in magazines anymore, right? So nobody does this kind of stuff unless it's curated by, this Carine Roitfeld thing. So I think it's super cool that they take the time to do this. And in terms of the fashion, the designers that have come back out for this, Dolce & Gabbana, Jean-Paul Gaultier, there was Rick Owens. That nun thing is Rick Owens. There's this new designer, Loire.
Right. And she was at that show.
Yes, that's right. And so all that stuff is like really, really top notch in my opinion. And I think I'll just talk really quickly about the hair, because I'm a hairstylist. I love when she does the 60s vibe. I actually think, and I'm sure we're going to get deeper into this, I feel as though there might be a reason. So the hairdresser, Andrew Fitzsimmons, he does do this look, this kind of,
Brigitte Bardot.
Yeah, that Brigitte Bardot look. He does it really well. And basically what it is, it's her extensions, but she has like, it's almost like a secondary hair piece up here to give you that fullness. I guess, I could delve deep into it because it's a choice to do that, right? Like everybody's sitting around choosing how the hair is going to go. Potentially that 60s vibe, there's so much autobiographical stuff going on in this piece. The mother, the father. I mean, if you think about the era at which Madonna was growing up after the mother passed away, would have been in the 60s. So I don't know if there's a tie-in from that. I'm, again, very specific with detail when it comes to this, but I liked it a lot. I think that it's interesting that there's aspects of gangbang kind of feel, that Faster, Faster, Pussycat, Kill, Kill, whatever it's called. There's that, that go-go feel to it, but it feels different. So yeah, I think it's really good. I love the detail involved in everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's very her.
Right.
Like she's very into the minutia detail of things. Liberty, what did you think of the shoot as a like overall?
Oh, I mean, well, of course, I at first I think I was like, okay. I always need, me, I need a minute to sit and I need to absorb.
Well, you have to digest and like sort of let it simmer and percolate.
Though, don't take that as like, she's so negative. It's not about that. It's almost like I need to put myself in that world, because I am the Madonna fan who is always looking for the underlying message, and I'm always looking for, well, what does this mean? Because of how good she is at that mystery building and how connected I always think everything is like in her art to her personal life, and to the rest of the world. I always look for, what does Madonna want me to learn, and what does Madonna want me to know, and what does Madonna want me to take from this and thereby put out also into the world. Maybe you do too much, right? That's a little extra, but at the same time, I think of myself not only as a fan of Madonna, but a student of Madonna. And I learn from the creativity and from the inspiration from which she is pulling. I think there's a lot of highly like self-referential things in the shots. So the hair, I mean, the Brigitte Bardot look we've seen a little bit before. We've seen that in maybe like Turn Up the Radio, this look, this poofy hairpiece. And the limousine, it gives a lot of MDNA actually, which is kind of strange because it's not something that I regularly go back to. And then of course a little bit of not the Rebel Heart, but this sort of Madame X thing, this style that you have actually behind you, Stefan. I think it's on your left, the braid, where she's got the braid.
For sure.
That's very Madame X. We know she loves the corsets, and they look fantastic. They're very pushing, very lifting, and I love that. She's always used these collared necklaces, especially in the last 10 years, 15 years, to sort of, and people would say things like it's to hide what her neck looks like or to somehow conceal, any type of age demonstration.
Well, and to that I'll say I need to start wearing them because God knows turkey neck is alive and happening over here.
It's fine. Yeah. The trench, we know she loves a good trench. We've seen it before.
Give me a love. That's all I thought when I saw the trench, her getting out of that car. I was just like,
the fishnets. I mean, it's full, especially in a cemetery, and then the grave giving "Oh Father." There's just so many little referential moments. I'm curious to know if some of the color used in the shots has, or the shading, like where the light hits her face and where the light is positioned, I don't know, message, or if it has some sort of meaning. The red of that skirt, for example, is such a blood red, deep red color.
Well, a lot of the coloring is very quintessential Steven Klein,
True.
like that visual aesthetic in the evening graveyard scene, the nighttime, that's very quintessential Steven Klein. Even
her skin's very Steven Klein. Like there's a lot of very
there's texture as well, a lot of visible texture. I think reading the script, or this sort of scripted bit that she wrote, or I guess that's her. I mean, it has, one of the copies has her like handwriting on there. So I'm guessing this is all sort of her brainchild, but that there's an indication there of, like, for example, it says something like, she's a mess. She has mascara, like what do you call that? Stained eyes. And, but it's impossible to see the mess because she looks so good. I don't, and so I'm looking at the mess going like, there's something on the inside maybe that I'm supposed to see. And yes, the expression is there because she's not emoting like, which is something Madonna does so well in photographs, and you cannot replicate it. After all of the times that Stefan has been like, okay, we're going to do this shoot, right? And I'm like, okay, try to mimic the expression. It's virtually impossible because of how I guess, I don't want to use this word and be wrong, but Roman sort of her face is, this Romanesque sort of beautiful profile and exceptional nose structure that she has, and then just the way her eyes are able to fixate. And if she's ever looked at you, like, the look. But yeah, I don't know. I have so much, like, there's just so many things to say because there's so much in the shot.
Well, and there's so many, like, that's the thing,
shots.
Like as an editorial. And I'm wondering if we even have seen all of it, or if if CRFashionBook is actually holding stuff back for the actual printed version.
I hope so.
And the only reason I think that is because, so Liberty, the picture that you've got behind is the one of her in some sort of like head to toe black number with enormous shoulder pads.
Reminiscent of the Luar fashion
Yes,
show.
for sure. And going into the back of the trunk, but we've only seen that. There's only that one
Right.
picture, and there's no. And I'm like, wait, so we don't have any other pictures with that look, just that one. So something tells me that we haven't seen everything. I feel like maybe her spread is like double the size. You know, like maybe there's going to be other pictures that we will get revealed when the magazine hits newsstands on March 24th, which I'm hopeful about. But
With different covers, right? There are different covers available.
that's what I believe to
Okay.
be. Yeah, I mean, I ordered the one with the first shot that we saw of her from the cover, and yes, I did order it because I was like, and this is going to cost me an arm and a leg, but whatever. It's like I go to bed alone at night, so I can treat myself.
Well, look, I mean, there was no tour book, so just shift the dollar, shift the dollars. It's fine.
Well, but so with the photo editorial, because I love the whole thing. I think it looks beautiful, and I think I love some of the imagery more than others. The daytime graveyard scene she looks beautiful, but I think I really responded most to the nighttime graveyard scene where she's like laying down in that blood red, almost like not spandex. What with that neoprene? What's the dress made out of? Yeah, it's just beautiful. Like the lighting is, and she looks gorgeous. I like that her hair's back off her face too. We normally don't get to see that a lot. So and like that picture of her that I have behind me, that's probably my favorite. It's like I just like zoom in and just like bask in the gorgeous detailing. And yes, Photoshop for sure, because God knows if that was me, I'd be Photoshopping my face too. I mean, please, I use the zoom like pretty up your face filter on this. Like I might look 30 right here on this, but no.
But you're really 87.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild.
Exactly. I look like the old woman at the end of Titanic.
Oh my God.
It's been 84 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, to your point, Stefan, like for Madonna to pull her hair back like that is very vulnerable. There's a lot of stuff that would show, and that's why you don't see it that often. I think. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on around this area of her face that
For sure.
that would be very, like, usually people don't show that. So it is nice to see her hair pulled off of her face.
Yeah. One little fashion thing that I do want to say though is what's with the vampire teeth grills?
I thought that was cool.
I was like, are those vampire fangs?
So,
like, what's going on there?
Again, I think if you want to go and say, if there are things we could glean from this, what does she want to tell this? What's the storytelling aspect? So is that like, you've sucked the life out of me, so now I guess I'm going to jump into my little theorem here. Now I'm going to bury all of you. For all of you who wronged me, I will summon the spirits of my ancestors in, either, now I'm not sure Rosemary Fortin is a fictitious sort of invented character, right?
Yeah. So let's stay right where you are, because I just want to give some context. So let's talk the photo editorial story.
Okay.
Is basically a widow. So the story that she's telling in the pictures is a widow visiting the gravesite of an unknown person. In the photos, it appears maybe she's killed a husband or a lover, and she returns to the gravesite to bury the gun that she committed the crime with, apparently, or a crime was committed with this gun. Maybe she's protecting somebody. At the end, she runs off with a nun who she may or may not be romantically involved with. Maybe the nun is the one who killed the person that's in the grave, and she's protecting that. And the woman has gone under like witness protection as a nun. It's very spy noir, very like Madonna as a jilted lover gone mad. like who knows? So there's that story. I think the video, which we'll get to in a little bit, is a different story. But let's talk about your theory with the photo editorial story. So go ahead. So she's so you think Madonna is a vampire summoning the spirits of her dead relatives to attack people who hate her.
Okay, so when you word it that way, I don't know if that's really where I was. Okay, it's because, all right, and I'm going to need to pull it up because Steven posted something about 2 hours ago. And the thing that he posted started me really thinking, because as you know, and we have talked about, I have had like a lot of puzzling happening in my brain. If you look at his latest post, 2 hours ago, it's slide 3, and it says, "Love me or die," she whispers to no one.
Yes.
So that actually, it was at that moment when I saw that it really started to go click, 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 where I started to fit things in, where I kind of think there's, and this could be probably too, because I've seen these rumors about if the new album has, as people are stating, themes of addressing like the way people have been so horrible to her about aging, about her looks, about how she's chosen to age, and that there's some sort of darker themes on this record. I mean, is she saying like, is it also sort of tying into the feeling about how people, like, she presumes people will only give her the respect that she's due when she's dead? It's harder for me to tie with the photos. The video helps a lot more.
I think the video is a completely separate thing. She's using the visuals from the photo shoot, but I think her narrative in the video has nothing to do with the photo editorial story. I think it's two different things. I think she's just using the visuals as something so she can do that narrative, that spoken word, but I don't think they're one and the same. I think the story that she's telling is that scripted story that Klein and her, I think, and CRFashionBook have published, the one where it talks about, she visits the grave, she puts the roses down, she's a mess, she's this, like, that script that's the story of her. And if you see the legal papers where they say that she has the legal papers, and on the top of the legal papers it says, "The estate of John Doe challenges Rosemary Fortin," which I believe Rosemary Fortin is just a made-up character, but Fortin is her mother's maiden name. Yeah. So Madonna Louise Fortin, that was her mother's maiden name before she became a Ciccone. But Jason, what do you think? What do you think the story of the editorial is about?
Well, I first of all, I really appreciate Liberty, because I look at Madonna's work in the same way that you do. I 1,000% agree. You first see, but it's always been like this. It's not just recently with her work. So you see it and like you're kind of hit with it, and you don't really. It takes 2 seconds to kind of digest it. And as any good artist, it really is all going to be some form of projection that we see ourselves in her. Right. But given that we are 3 experts on Madonna,
that's right.
There are a lot of things
alleged. No,
I'm saying I'm an expert. I think I feel as though, you see the symbolism, you see a lot of stuff that we can recognize that's quintessential Madonna. So there's that, put that to the side. Maybe this is a reach, but we have to acknowledge that Christopher passed away around the same time. Now, to your point, this would have been mapped out and storyboarded eons beforehand. I can't remember exactly when Christopher passed away and when this shoot would have happened, but she does do things very timely, right? Like it's not to say that she knew or anything. Maybe she did, but I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that she conjured this up. I think it's very autobiographical. I think a lot of times, so I get what you're saying, Stefan, in terms of it's a completely different story in terms of the visuals. But I think oftentimes that's her art. So it comes from this very vulnerable place. And I don't mean to segue into the video, because I know we're going to talk about it, but I think there is a bridge here. I feel as though this whole thing is just so much about her vulnerability, about her family and her brother, and potentially coming to terms with her father's death, coming to terms with her own death. And then I feel as though a lot of, to your point, Liberty, I feel like the gun represents her power in the world. So if we,
Yeah.
and I know I'm going back to the video because I've listened so much to the video,
Mm-hmm.
feel as though the images are kind of what she projects into the world, right? Her image into the world. So yes, it is separate, but it comes from this very vulnerable place. And again, I don't want to go right into the video, but she keeps talking about this fear of abandonment. And I think that's so interesting. And then she has this gun between her legs, which also could be a symbol of masculinity or male power in the world. And you know, now she's got the gun, which is a whole thing about her. There are references to past looks. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot, and I don't try to. I feel like when Madonna does visuals like this and like even that script, like it's not supposed to make sense and you're not supposed to pull a story from it directly. It's more like it's kind of abstract and that opens things up to see things. But then, you know, when you listen to that, to the video or when you watch the video, I think it's just pure vulnerability. And I think if you remember when her brother did pass away and, you know, Joan passed away at the same time, roughly around the same time.
Right around the same time.
Not that she must have mentioned that, but in any case, I feel as though she was probably really raw at that time. You know, her father came over and like, I don't know. It's such an intense moment in her life. And she finished the tour about her life. So to me, this is like power and vulnerability all at once. And that whole nun thing, like that's always been such a huge symbol in her life. You know, just because she always plays with that imagery, but also I feel as though when she was younger, the nuns really affected the way she thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that's my take. I think it's really deep for a fashion campaign. And I think it's great that we get stuff like this because what other artist gives you this much?
Jason, just to let you know, so we were in New York the weekend that her brother had passed away. So that was October 6th, remember? When, we were hanging out, you, me, and Michelangelo, when we were retracing the steps of Madonna. We visited the former place of Danceteria. And remember, she had posted that morning about Christopher's death. She posted the picture of her eating the soup naked with the necklace, which we're assuming was from the shoot day of the graveyard. And that was on October 22nd. So if we're assuming that she was posting in real time, Christopher's death, a mere 3 weeks later, she was in the graveyard doing these photos. So
that's what I'm saying. It's wild, right? Like this woman always does shit like this. Like she's always just like time really works, you know, with her. Like it's so in sync.
Well, too, work is it's an easy distraction. I mean, when you are in that really vulnerable space, I mean, I've gone through that with the death of a loved one, that you have to go to work at some point and you don't want to, but then when you're there, you realize like, okay, I actually didn't think about my pain for a little while. And that felt nicer. You know, it helps to sort of relieve your anguish a bit.
Well, and think about it. So her job was to go to the cemetery and do a photo editorial. So like she's able, it's like, Liberty, you're wondering why you can't channel maybe the same emotion. Well, it's like, well, maybe if your job was to go lay down in a cemetery and think about the death of a loved one, you know what I mean? Like for us, our jobs are a little different. Her job is to emote, is to give us feelings and evoke a passion. And so it's just a different environment.
But also like Christopher was such a big part of her artistry, right? Like all of his work as her artistic director. And so I think I kind of got that as well. There's also, and I don't know, again, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there is a feeling of again, going back to the video, there's a whole feeling of Promise to Try when she went to go visit her mom and he didn't really like her so much. I mean, regardless if that, we know too much about this woman, but like, regardless, there's so many elements of this that kind of bring it into places that we can at least, and maybe as an artist, she's not even thinking about it the way that we are thinking about it because we study so much of the work that she's done. But this is just symbols that she just constantly works with. And the other thing too is like, I mean, if you take a look at all of the work that she's done with Steven Klein or anybody, she's never really gone to this place before. She's had images of cemeteries in her work. Oh, Father, the bone breaker thing during
like a prayer photo shoot. Mm-hmm.
Totally. So she's visited cemeteries. She's been part of it. But this feels very her life, whatever that means, whether it's her or whether it's the people around her. Yeah, and for her to do that with Steven Klein, I think is interesting because usually their work is not that,
Right.
It's more abstract. It's just different.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about the video because I mean they're all out at the same time. Like I said, the video I feel is telling a bit of a different story, and mostly I say that just because of what she's talking about in the voiceover for that. So she's using visuals from the photo shoot. It's basically the in motion version of the photos that she's done. But the narrative is about her obsession with cemeteries due to her mother's death, that she's not afraid of death because she says it will reunite her with her mother, and also that death is a doorway to eternal life. And she basically ends it with her saying that the nun would, take her hand and they'd walk through the cemetery, visiting the souls of other people under the light of the moon. It's very poetic. It's very beautiful and haunting. And I almost wish we had gotten visuals to match the voiceover of the video because I feel like the video, and that's why I say it's a different story, is because, the Steven Klein photo shoot is sort of like a spy noir, jilted lover crime drama.
Right. But if you, that's why I'm thinking. That's why I'm thinking like if you can actually connect, if you treat that lover as fame or as the career itself, because I can't even imagine.
Okay, I love that. Keep going.
Well, after 40 years in this game, let's say, I think at a certain point you start to say maybe it's not that you want out, but it's like, is there any kind of separation? And I mean, you can say that she can never have a normal life again, even
Correct.
if she tried. But the
she
career,
never would.
No,
she could stop doing anything artistic today, and she would never be able to live a normal life, ever.
A Joe Blow life. Yeah,
3 of us.
Yeah.
You go searching down New York.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Hi, Madonna.
Now that you're retired,
Listen, now that you're not doing anything, you want to come on the show?"
No, because I live a normal life now. Get the F out of my face.
But I don't think she knows what that is. I don't think she knows what a quote unquote normal life is. Like but we say normal meaning because we don't have the aspect of fame.
Right.
But that's just an elevated version. I mean, she's also mega wealthy, like there's that,
right.
There's that difference too,
but see what fame has come with for her specifically, and we know that this is true because no other artist receives this sort of criticism, backlash, hard time, just basic BS. No other artist gets this pushback. No other artist gets this where, like, we're not going to give you $75 million for this biopic. Nobody gets this sort of like, whenever there's a single article and Billboard, I swear to God, you need another picture.
Oh my God, I know. They keep using that Grammy photo. It's just terrible.
And it's intentional.
They do it intentional, for sure.
Yeah. It's and articles that do this, it's posted on social media and it fuels commentary, which is negative and it is hurtful. I don't care who you are when people cannot separate what you look like from what you do and the great things that we don't even know that she has done. So I feel like that power, it comes with this extreme sense of why me? Why can't that ever? Why can't they see the thing that I do? And it's nice to have the fans and the people who are yelling at from their seat at the show, "We love you," whenever you come to their section. But it's hard to know that those same fans, some of them act like real jerks when they think that your back is turned. They only want to be there for the whatever they think you're going to give them.
Right.
And then when you're not
they
around,
want the good. But they're also being snarky to her.
Sure. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody. I don't mean anyone personally here. I just mean like I've seen it happen, and I've seen how people behave, and even with this shoot, the commentary I've seen even on Steven Klein's posts, repetitive. Seen it before. Why is she still trying to look sexy? Like, can you not? Like, maybe don't just, if you don't have anything nice to say. But that's the thing that I mean is like, she has to bury that every time she comes in front of us with some new gift. She has to let go of being, either afraid that she's about to get more backlash, or whatever she does is going to be met with negativity, is going to be met with those people who cannot separate that she's a woman from the fact that she's got power. And
so you think that's the thing that's being buried. I love that.
That's just where I'm
great.
going, because I
mean, I wouldn't have. I was taking it more literally, but I love sort of elevating it.
I was too, up until 2 hours ago.
There's definitely something in this shoot that we're seeing because maybe of the symbolism, because of stuff that we've seen before. And so that does kind of point you in the direction of looking at this and her life and her career, which is also just where she's at. But I think I really love what you're saying, Liberty. I also think she's somebody who I can't remember what somebody posted from her. This is a long time ago on a different Madonna fan site. They had what she wrote in the high school yearbooks back in or whatever, or back in Michigan.
Okay.
And she was like the way she is even back then. Like, it's so funny. She wrote this thing to her teacher about sperm. Like, it was just so funny. But she was funny back then. And I think, to your point, and maybe this has nothing to do with the photo shoot, but we're talking about her being kind of beaten up a little bit, right? In terms of just having to deal with a lot of shit. I mean, she's a woman who speaks her mind and is strong, and I think she's always been like that. And I think somebody like that understands that, and has probably understood her whole life that people don't always like that, or will pick on a woman who has that kind of an opinion. But what I like about this, and it comes back to kind of what we're saying, what I like about this is that I love that concept of burying that, but there's so much vulnerability in this as well.
Yeah.
And again, she talks about fear of abandonment. Like, there's all this shit that she talks about that you never get to see. I mean, I think the first time, I don't know, when she first started talking about her mother's death, like back in the day, I think like maybe Jane Pauley interview, there was a little bit of, and then she talks to, what's his name on ABC, Sawyer, I can't remember it. She's like, okay, thank you, Dr. Sawyer. That whole thing. And then there was the, what's his name? The shock jock, Howard Stern. She got more into it. And as we all saw during the celebration tour, she really opened up about her mother. And that was actually the first time that I really realized how much all of her work is in relation to her mother, whether she's aware of it or not. There's so much there, like a prayer, like there's just so much there that is I mean, I've lost my mother at a young age, not as young as Madonna has. So I can really relate to a lot of things that she does, because there's a level of protection that you have to put out to yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You don't really trust people. There's stuff that goes on, and you're always in constant search for love as well. So I can really understand all of that. And then I guess I just think it's interesting that her art now, she really has all this stuff working at the same time. She can be upset about her mom and her father. And I feel like we saw that during Celebration, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like she would talk about that more than she ever has. And so I think that allows her to be strong with a gun and sexy and all that she's projected into the world. And at the same time, she can be that 6-year-old girl who lost her mother and, you know, all the other shit that came along with it. So that's what I think. That's what I think what's so deep about this photo shoot and video is that she's bringing those two things together.
Well, and not to get super like
Right.
otherworldly and whatnot, but like basically what they say about time is that like our lives are all happening all at the same time. Like things like there, it's not like time is linear and progressive. It's like time is happening all at once. So like what she experienced when her mother died is happening at the same time that she's doing this graveyard shoot. I mean, that's up in the air.
Very meta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's actually going back to the photo shoot as I'm thinking about the photo with that particular corset that's there on your left side, that, and then there's a picture that I think is that one of the covers where she's got sunglasses on, but you can see through the top.
Mm-hmm.
Is I had a whole thought about this, but I think it has a lot of, again, that power. But vulnerability simultaneously because nudity is like the ultimate state of vulnerability. But at this time specifically in sort of our, like in this timeline, if you will, that matriarchal sort of appearance means a lot more in owning that power and becoming the mother, if you will. Yeah. Ooh, this is all very like I want more.
I do want to talk real quick about the soundtrack to the video, which I thought, so one, when the video first starts, you hear these little bim, 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 and all I thought was, I'm like, oh, it's the opening notes to Papa Don't Preach from the Reinvention tour.
Oh, I heard bedtime stories. That's weird.
Where it's like
Yeah.
it starts off like that. But somebody else messaged me and said it sounded like the notes for the Sorry interlude on the Confessions tour.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
speak. Don't. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. I was like, so go back and listen to the video if you don't like, and then listen to the Reinvention tour version of Papa Don't Preach. It's like bum 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 bum, and then it goes into.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like she took that sound and slowed it down just for the beginning of that. But and I love that version of Papa
Okay,
Don't
that
Preach.
adds a whole other layer.
Well,
I mean, if it is Papa Don't Preach.
I think she was just using music. Like, I don't, oh, but maybe, yeah. I mean, who knows? Like, maybe she was like, I mean, again, we don't know how her brain works in that, where it's like, she's like, well, we need to use music for this video. Get me that version of Papa Don't Preach from Reinvention Tour. I
Right.
want to slow it down and use it in the beginning of this. You know, like, who knows?
She is a musician. And what if it's new music?
Right. I mean, that's why I wonder.
Don't do that to me, Jason. Don't you dare do that. No, because I don't think it was original music, because she then goes in and uses that wonderful song Teardrop from Massive Attack, which I absolutely adore.
I don't know, because see, now, okay, clearing one's Instagram, it's a sign of a rebirth. Social media version.
Hold on real quick. To the people in the chat, it's very tough to monitor the chat and stay present in the conversation. I'm looking at the chat now. I see you. It's hard to stay present and do two things at once. I get very distracted
we
very
usually
easily.
have Ben for that.
So yeah, we usually have Ben. Ben's not here. I see your chat. Have fun.
Yeah.
I'm just
and
letting you know.
I can't read, so sorry, guys. Like, I'm a teacher, but I can't read. Yeah.
When our intern's off tonight, so he can't check the chat. So
if M15, okay, so if this is sort of the dawning of M15, and I'm thinking a little bit about Madam X, right? We got a little video thing before Madam X dropped, which was also mysterious. If Funeral Rites, which that would be a crazy like if she titled the album that would be not like absolutely nuts, because then everybody would be like, well, is this the last one, or what does this mean? But it's just a really a poignant title for that video. And then if it does lead into a new album, then perhaps there is some closure of a certain variety. Not saying she's done recording album forever, but yeah, I'm gonna need to ruminate a little bit.
It's a wonderful theory. I can't imagine that she would call the photo editorial funeral rites as well as the album. I think they'd be two separate things.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily, I mean, obviously I don't know. This is just a theory, but I can't imagine the album would be very dark and depressing. Like, I feel like she would do something where maybe the content is dark, but I
feel like Confessions has a lot of darkness.
For sure. That's what I mean. Like, people always reference Confessions as if it's this upbeat, euphoric, anthemic, like going out dance.
The music is, and
the beats are, and some of the music is, but also some of the music is very like not. The 4 singles that we got are probably like the happiest music, and then well, I love New York, I guess, but the latter half of the album is kind of dark, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's why I guess I was sort of thinking. I mean, she's always been a little bit like more attracted to the darkness, more attracted to what makes us feel more, you know, in terms of sadness. It doesn't mean that the music itself has to be dark. It just means that the thematic imagery or the feelings when you hear the words may not be simplistic or joyful in nature, might be a little bit more, which even on Madam X, a lot of the dark, there was a lot of darkness there in the texts, in the lyrics. But I guess I do struggle to separate, like, well, that's just a rumor. I think she has a wonderful way of marrying fun music with a really poignant and deep reaching feeling in the imagery of what she says.
Has she, I mean, when she does photo shoots like this, which are very costly, right? Does she do this? Like, are these visuals that could be leading us into the album? Like,
I mean, I don't, well, maybe, because a lot of photographers will do this. They will use a paid gig to then do some backdoor like shoots where they
she would totally do that. She would sort of like give the money to have this magazine do all of this, and some of it's going to be used in, you know, album work, artwork as well.
Yeah, well, like outtakes, like stuff that they're not putting in the editorial, but she's like, let's backdoor this, and you know, she's like, Carine's going to pay for this shoot.
I'm telling you.
Let's pull a bunch of outfits from Gautier and Dolce & Gabbana, and we'll use half of them for the shoot, and the other half will be for the album.
I saw her. She was in Toronto during MDNA, and I'll never forget this. From a business perspective, she's amazing. Her necklace during, oh my gosh, what song? It might have been Gangbang or something. It was like around that part of the show, MDNA or Hung Up or something. It was around that part, the beginning part of the show. Her necklace flew off into the audience, and somebody that I actually know, his friend, caught the necklace. Everybody's freaking out. They got the necklace. She came right back to the front of the stage, and she stopped the show, and she goes, "Give me back my fucking necklace." Like, this woman really, she's smart with her money. I guess that's the point of why I said that.
Right.
And who I totally would believe this is, at least, if anything, it's kind of working out the visuals, if this is not. But there's definitely got to be something. I mean, listen, if it's Confessions on the Dance Floor 2, she's a nun, there's like graveyard, I don't know. There's just definitely imagery in here that could tie into that if we go literal with what she's saying.
Well, look, we haven't really mentioned how, I don't know, but all of the stuff preceding the Celebration tour, she was working on music. She was doing stuff, and then she almost died.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of if there's a correlation between Confessions 2 and sort of like if she weaves death into it, or maybe this is just sort of like resetting the narrative, and that this is like she's burying one part of her career, quote unquote, and that there will be a rebirth. So maybe what she's trying to exemplify is basically what happened with her near-death experience, where she was on a career trajectory of what she expected it to be, and then there was a reset, and she had this near-death experience, and now she's starting anew. She's starting fresh. And
Stefan, you said that so nicely. Like that really was way better than I said it. Like it really kind of sums up what I was trying to say. So I just compliments
I
you.
was just helping you out a little bit.
Thanks. You wrote some notes, didn't you?
No, that was all for you. No, but I think that because of what you're saying with like, I wouldn't have guessed that the person in the grave would be her career, you know, but like maybe she's looking at it as herself, you know, like maybe she's looking like she's buried this part of herself and now it's something new. And maybe what the new is what we will get from the next album. And maybe that's why she archived everything on her Instagram, because she's like, this was the before and now we're starting fresh again. You know, I feel like when she did that for the tour, that was more, I don't think that was as deep. I think that was more of just it was a cultural reset for her to sort of be like, okay, yeah, I had this, but like, that was more of like a PR thing to wake everybody up. But this, I feel like that was more of like an intentional thing where it was more of a career reset. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, hey, that's the fun about, you know, being a Madonna fan and being where we are right now. It's like we're on the precipice of a new era. We know it's coming. We don't know when. We don't know what, but it'll be fun.
Can we have an episode 5 months from now where we watch this one back and we're like, oh my God, we were so wrong about all
right. You dummies. Yeah.
Oh God, what are we talking about?
I know. I mean, I'm telling you, like if she's over watching it and she's just like these kooks, like
they no. She's like they're so far off. Well, that's the other thing. I was like, again, I don't think she watches the show, but it is kind of strange that every time we do an episode, the next day or two, she puts something out. So I was like, maybe we'll just goose her a little bit and let's do something on Friday. Cause then so we all know, looking ahead, we all know Sunday night is the Oscars, and she is in LA right now getting ready for her and Gaio series big post-Oscars bash. It's apparently like the big party to go to, and I'm sure that we'll get some stuff for after, you know, like I'm sure we'll see her, even though they don't allow cameras at the party. I'm sure she'll
just GR will be there.
Yeah, JR will be there to help take some pictures, I'm sure. Yes, Jason.
We have 2 seconds to talk about that photo that circulated with her with the bad girl hair.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
That was a makeup test for that night.
That's what I think.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
Love that hair. I thought it was so good.
She's going to have to do something different now, though.
Very SNL bad girl fever performance with totally. That was definitely her getting ready for the Oscars for sure. I know.
And so pretty. Like it's so just refreshing to see her face. Like, I just love to see her close-up face. It's so pretty. And the eyebrows are a little lighter in the photo. And her lips just look so good. And the eyeliner was giving. I just love it.
I know. It's exciting. It's fun. It's good times. Well, everybody, that's our show. Just a heads up. We do know that Rebel Heart is turning 10 years old next week.
Goodness.
And as a result, MLVC will be doing a 10th anniversary extravaganza. We won't be going live. It's a pre-record, but we're going to be releasing the episode next week. So stay tuned for all your Rebel Heart Desires.
Stay tuned for the best night of your life.
And we've got some fun promo photos coming your way too. So, we can't let an anniversary go by without using it as an excuse to do some promo photos. I love a Madonna homage. So
honoring the amazing work. One day in 10 years, you'll be laying on top of a grave with a corset on, and we'll see your nipples.
5 years from now. 5 years. 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Remember, everybody, you can find us on all social platforms at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, we're on Venmo at MLVC Podcast, or you can make a donation on YouTube. Click that like button on the video and donate via Super Thanks. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, tick that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Everyone in the chat, I love you. I just love to throw shade if you've thrown shade at me. It's just for fun. So thanks for joining us, everyone, in the chat. I see a lot of. I'm surprised no one's actually commented on Jason's biceps yet, but I guess
it was probably at the beginning of the show when they were.
I was gonna say you need to flex at the end of the show, Jason, so that way Anyway, everybody, have a lovely night. Jason, thanks for joining us. I know
Thanks,
that.
Jason.
I love it.
Oh, sorry, you don't have a headset on, so we cut out your audio. So go ahead and say thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. No, I love being on the show, so thank you so much.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful night. You two, stay where you're at. We're going to kiki. This is where the gossip happens after we log off. All right. Bye, everybody.